Yep. Is that Monday night?
Right in front of you, perfect. I just tell people.
You didn't just hand out your support.
Oh, my pleasure. Congratulations. That's where the bills are going to come in. Yes, always.
Of course not. Unless you're fine. I like it. Yeah. You try to stick around for a while. I'm glad. Where do you want to drive? Right here.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Amy Loudenbeck, and I am a member of the Wisconsin State Assembly. I was the Assembly lead author of Assembly Bill 16, which was signed into law in 2015 as Wisconsin Act 5 by Governor Scott Walker. I am joined by a bipartisan group of my colleagues in the legislature, including the Senate author of the bill, Senator Jerry Petrowski, and my Assembly co-author, Representative Jesse Rodriguez, as well as Representative Therese Berceau and Representative Joel Clayfish. Today, we join Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schimel in announcing the beginning of a statewide human trafficking awareness campaign. We are also joined by many representatives from numerous groups that have already stepped up to serve as partners. These partners include the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families, the Wisconsin Association of Free and Charitable Clinics, Fierce Freedom, the Lutheran Office for Public Policy in Wisconsin, the National Association of Social Workers Wisconsin Chapter, the Wisconsin Hotels and Lodging Association, the Petroleum Marketers Association, End Domestic Abuse Wisconsin, Ministry Healthcare, Columbia St. Mary's, Inc., United Migrant Opportunity Services, Inc., or more commonly referred to as UMOS, the Wisconsin Catholic Conference, the Women's Fund of the State Line Community Foundation, the Zonta Club of Beloit, the Wisconsin Chiefs of Police, and the Wisconsin Urban and Rural Transit Association. And we thank our partners very much for contacting us early and getting on board with this campaign. So thank you to all the representatives that were able to join us. Because without the partnerships that we've established, the poster would be just that, a digital file available for download on the DOJ website. But with our partners, and the new partners that we anticipate will join us in the future, the poster is the basis of a public awareness campaign that will ensure that victims and concerned citizens have the right information in the right time, have the right information at the right time in the right place. This is just the beginning. As these partnerships grow, so will the impact and reach of the campaign across our state. The overarching goals of this campaign are to raise public awareness, encourage tips, and most importantly, reach victims and connect them to resources and safety. We invite others to join us to help us achieve these goals. And now to introduce the poster, State Representative Jesse Rodriguez. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, and good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today to launch the Human Trafficking Awareness Campaign. I would like to thank law enforcement and the organizations represented here who are joining us for this important occasion. And I would also like to thank Representative Loudbeck, who was the author of this bill that made this poster a reality. Representative Loudbeck and I have been working on this poster for months, and I'm really excited that we can finally unveil it. What many of you don't know is that the human trafficking is a covert billion-dollar industry that has reached every corner of the United States, with cases in all 72 counties in this state. It is estimated traffickers have exploited 20.9 million victims, with 1.9 million in North America. The covert nature of this heinous crime makes it difficult to detect. This poster provides one more tool for us to use to help end human trafficking and bring awareness to this issue. As our population grows more diverse in our state, we felt the poster needed to be available in both Spanish, English, and Spanish, with the goal of reaching more victims. And here are the posters, the English version and the Spanish version. And I would also like to thank UMOS for partnering with us and also for helping us translate this poster in Spanish. The poster in Spanish reads, Pare el tráfico humano, ayúdanos a acabar la compra y esclavitud de mujeres, hombres y niños de actos sexuales o trabajo forzado. Esto sucede aquí in Wisconsin. And you can see that there is a hotline number that anybody can reach for information on human trafficking and also for resources or to report a case. And now I would like to invite State Patrol Superintendent Stephen Fitzgerald to come and say a few words for us.
Thank you, Representative. Being in law enforcement for many years, this was a crime that was never really brought to the forefront for many, many years. We all kind of knew that it was going on, but nobody ever really looked into it, especially with this state, because it was largely a rural area where they had, pretty good cover, and it wasn't known what their activities really were at that time. But times have changed, and things have changed, and society has changed. And today, being a statewide organization, the State Patrol literally is in all corners of the state, and with our point of entry way stations, or SWEFs as we call them today, we have the opportunity to observe a lot of the commercial vehicles that are coming into our state, which is one way that the traffickers transport these people. It also gives us a look at a lot of the other trucks and big machineries that are coming in that are ideal places for secreting these people so that they can't be seen when they're coming through. So this is something that has been a big city problem for many, many, many years, but now it's spilled out into our rural areas, and it's really everywhere. And unless you've been involved personally with one of these cases where you actually see the lives that it affects, you see the family that it affects, parents go crazy when the kids are gone and trying to figure out what happened to them, and the last thing that they would think would be something like this. But again, folks, it's reality, and it's something that we have to recognize and something we have to be on the lookout for. In law enforcement especially, we know the signs and know some of the signals that will, indicate that there is a problem there. And the posters, as you can see, are just going to be one more avenue that we have to share with the public so that they are aware that this heinous crime is actually happening. And they will be more aware, and we encourage them to call the authorities if they suspect something. And again, it's nice to be able to have the eyes and ears of these people out there today and watching what's happening with society. So again, I think this is a big step in the right direction to bring this heinous crime out into the front and let people see this and understand what's going on. And the media, will play a big part in this, just bringing the information to the public so that they, again, when they recognize or see something, they can call the law enforcement. So again, this is a great kickoff today, and I just hope that we keep the momentum going and we look at the ramifications of what happens with these heinous crimes. And it's just another one thing that society has to worry about today. So again, I'm glad to be here today with you people. And as a team, I think we can make a dent, and we can look and recognize some of the signs that we have. So again, thanks for being here, and thanks for taking the interest in this crime. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank Representative Loudenbeck for all her work on this issue and other issues like this, dealing with human trafficking, also dealing with restraining orders and many other issues like that. Today is really an honor for me to introduce our next speaker, who is the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin. He is committed, and he has worked most of his life on helping victims of crime in the state, whether it be stopping human trafficking, curbing prescription abuse, heroin abuse, cracking down on internet predators. He is committed to helping victims of sexual assault in our state, and he works tirelessly for all of us. With that, it's my really honor to introduce our Attorney General, Brad Schimel. Brad.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Well, it's not his retirement party yet, but I just want to publicly say congratulations to Superintendent Fitzgerald, and thank you
for an amazing career in law enforcement and service to people of Illinois and Wisconsin.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's really heartwarming to get such a great turnout of supporters here. But I just want to tell you, this is what it looks like when we've been reaching out to the state of Wisconsin to find help with this terrible problem. We are finding so many community organizations, social service agencies, government agencies, law enforcement. Everyone gets it. Everyone who's out in the field and is seeing what's happening, they're seeing this highly mobile criminal activity. They're seeing a type of crime where the investigation and prosecution is so complicated and a lengthy process. I've never seen cases more challenging than when we try to bring these kind of cases, when we bring human trafficking cases to prosecution. It's going to take all of us working together, and I'm so grateful to our legislature for joining together in a bipartisan way to support this. And I know from working with them that this is just a one step in what I know is going to be a lot of support coming from our legislature to keep working on ways to fight this problem. To fight this problem of human trafficking, we're going to have to engage and train everyone who may have contact with victims, from law enforcement to prosecutors to victim witness professionals to healthcare providers to social service organizations, and we are working hard on that training as I speak now. We have to make the public aware, and that's what we're here for today. We need the public to be eyes and ears for us. When you see something suspicious, if you don't think it's right, there's a good chance it's not right. Contact law enforcement, and we're working to train law enforcement and social services so that when you make that call, they'll know what to do. They'll know how to step in and help. We need the public to understand that this does not involve volitional acts. This is servitude. It is modern day slavery, and we can't tolerate this in our communities. Perhaps most important, and this is the thing we're working hardest on, we need to ensure that there are adequate resources to help the survivors. Not just overnight or for a couple of days, but long term. And that's why I'm thrilled that so many public and private social service agencies are represented here today, because they're going to be the ones that provide those services. The degree of psychological and emotional control and manipulation that traffickers exercise over their victims make it so difficult to restore that survivor back to a healthy state again. And it's going to take a whole team to do this together to help those individuals when they come forward looking for our help. It's very difficult to get them to trust us, and they need to be confident that we are going to be there long term. And that's what we're working on putting together so that we can do that. We're also exploring ways to reduce the demand, because this wouldn't exist in our state if there weren't people willing to pay money to have sex with somebody who's being held in slavery. And oftentimes, very oftentimes, these are children. We can't tolerate that, and we have to do something about that demand, and we are exploring ways to address that as well. So there are many things going on. There are many moving parts in Wisconsin to address this terrible problem. And I'm hoping that as awareness increases, we're going to need more resources to help the survivors. And we're working to build those resources to make them more effective, more efficient, and more accessible to victims. And we're going to hopefully develop more leads and more cases, and we're going to prosecute more of the people who are responsible for this horrible, horrible crime on society. This is a crime hidden in plain sight. Victims are right in front of us, in hotels, at truck stops, at rest stops, like the superintendent said, and on the internet. Engaging the public with these posters will help provide law enforcement with one more set, or many more sets of eyes, to help stop human trafficking in Wisconsin. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you to everyone who's joining in this important fight. All right, I'll take any questions you may have.
So this is supposed to be this campaign is supposed to be going to convenience stores and hotels and the like, but these are going to the back rooms, to my understanding. These are not going out in front of those convenience stores or in the hotel lobbies. Could you talk to us about those frontline workers? They're the ones that are going to be seeing these signs, and they're the ones that are going to be using them.
There are no limits on where these posters can go. It's where anyone's willing to put them, but it is important that they be in those back rooms. They be in the places where maybe an employee at the hotel can see and become interested and look in finding out more about what human trafficking looks like, and then be willing to say something when they see this, when they see activities that are suspicious. And law enforcement and social services will know how, as we're getting them better and better trained every day, they'll know how to address this problem.
So for this campaign, it will be going mainstream to
This is-
convenient outside, in front of windows, at convenience stores.
It can go anywhere anyone wants to put it, and I'm hoping that members, not just the employees at the convenience store or the hotel, but any member of the public can see it. This is available. This will be available on our website at DOJ. Anyone can download it and print it.
So will there be anybody in charge with distributing these posters out, or is it just available, somebody wants to come pick them up?
I'll have a raise of hands. How many of the people here are going to be helping to distribute out these posters? Okay, there we go. Yes, we'll have an army of the people who are already involved in fighting this problem that will be making sure these posters get distributed.
Okay, and so where does campaign, did it just kick off now, or what, give me the history of
This
it a little bit?
this came through an organization called the Polaris Project, and they are working nationwide to develop this hotline and to develop resources nationwide to fight this, because this problem doesn't stay in one place. It moves from state to state. When we've done nationwide task forces where federal, local, and state agencies have all worked together, we have found victims from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in many other states around the nation, and vice versa. So we know that it's part of what helps the traffickers to be successful is staying mobile, moving ahead, moving from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. It makes it harder for us to track them. So that's why it's important to have a nationwide look at it. We're also developing more and more resources statewide, and we're hoping to have a hotline here that can do a lot of things. One, it can be a place for a survivor to reach out for help. It can be a place for people to reach out with information. And then also, it can be a place where a law enforcement officer who comes in contact with a survivor might be able to make the connection to one of the social services agencies that can put a roof over that survivor's head and provide them resources so they can work down the path of healing.
And who's actually monitoring the hotline? Who answers the phone?
The Polaris Project, I'm not exactly sure. Kate, do you know? Can you answer this? I'm going to step aside here.
I'd be happy to. A great question, and this is something that came up during the testimony on the bill, and that was thoroughly vetted, including before we were ready to deploy the poster. But the Polaris Project, the hotline has been in operation since 2007, and it has been accepting calls from across the United States. Trained call specialists answer the phones. They are bilingual, English and Spanish. They also have translation capabilities in over 200 different languages. There's a ladder that the call specialist can escalate to a supervisor if an incident is taking place. And then for the past months and months and months, the Attorney General's office has been essentially analyzing the protocols and the resources that are in the Polaris Project's database, so that when they're taking in the calls, they can see information that somebody just couldn't see if they just Googled help me and came to their same website. So these are trained specialists, and this is what they do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
What's next? A billboard campaign? I mean, what are we thinking to raise the money?
I think we continue to, if I may.
Yeah.
We continue to build the partnerships. Here we have a lot. We have law enforcement. We have places of transit. If you noticed in my remarks, we'll have rest areas. We have the transit people that are willing to be putting this into all their bus stops. We have the Association of Volunteering Free Clinics. So these are, again, the additional eyes and ears across Wisconsin. But there are so many more partnerships that we can continue to build. And there are. We are working with trying to get like the county courthouses and other stakeholders to join us. So it's just a matter of now building the awareness with the current partners that we have, and then getting more partners coming in. So if you're the Petroleum Marketers Association, they were early to come in and say we want to partner with you, so they can help push this out to their members. And there are associations like that. I can think of lots of partnerships that would be appropriate. And as the Attorney General stated, it's really unlimited what can be done. But we would like to take the opportunity when we can to continually announce partnerships in different geographic parts of the state if we are able to continue to build the awareness.
And the Polaris Project, that's just the hard start of it is now, or have we been doing a little bit of that?
Like I said, the Polaris project has been operating the hotline since 2007.
But for Wisconsin, I'm sorry.
But they run. It's a national hotline. So
Just putting it out there for Wisconsin.
we are even when. Yeah, I mean, the Truckers Against Trafficking has been using this outreach and this phone number for a number of years. But I will say that there was a research study that was just put out. It was funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, I believe, but it was in January. I'd be happy to get you the information. But basically, states that have a dedicated identified hotline number and that share the information, it is the #1 most important thing that you can do to increase the incidence of reporting a case of human trafficking. It doesn't necessarily lead to prosecution, but it is the #1 thing that increases awareness, is to have an established hotline. So that's just one, like I said, one more step.
I had a question for the Attorney General on a different topic, if I may.
Well, we'll see, maybe.
You have to answer if you want to. Last night, sheriff's deputies wouldn't allow a Washington Post reporter into the Waukesha Expo Center, a public building. Do you have any reaction to that, and do you feel like the DA ought to investigate it?
I don't know any details about that incident. Still live in Waukesha County, but I wasn't there last night.
You're not aware of it?
No.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone that is here, and
Thank you.